of seeing what is invisible to others, and your purpose explains what you are doing with your life. Your vision explains how you are living your purpose, and your goals enable you to realize your vision. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Campus Ministry Personality Development webinar. A long time ago, a very strong and hard-working woodcutter asked for a job in a timber merchant's place, which was given to him. The pay was really good, and so were the working conditions. This motivated the woodcutter to do his best. The merchant gave him an axe and showed him the area he had to work in. On the first day, the woodcutter cut down 18 trees. "Well done, keep it up," said the merchant. Very motivated by these words, the woodcutter tried harder the next day, but he could only bring down 15 trees. The third day, he tried even harder, but he could not bring down more. He could only bring down 10 trees. In the days that followed, he brought fewer and fewer trees. "I must be losing my strength," the woodcutter thought. He went to the merchant and apologized, saying he could not understand what was going on. "When was the last time you sharpened your axe?" the merchant asked. "Sharpened? I had no time to sharpen my axe. I have been very busy cutting down trees." Our lives are a lot like this. We get so busy in doing our work that we don't take time to sharpen the axe. In today's world, most people are very busy, working but proportionately not productive and happy. Why is it so? Could it be that we have forgotten how to stay sharp? Activity and hard work are important, but one should not get so busy that one forgets or does not have time for the truly important things in life, such as making the time to get closer to our Creator, spending time with family and friends, reading, and so on. All of us need time to relax, think, meditate, learn, and grow. If we don't make the time to sharpen the axe, we will become dull and less effective. Knowing others is intelligence. Knowing yourself is true wisdom. Mastering ourselves is strength, and mastering others is true power. Personal development is the process of getting to know oneself, expanding and realizing one's full potential. Personal development is a journey, not a destination. We begin this webinar by invoking God's blessings. I request Ms. Aruna BN to lead us in prayer.
Dear God, we come before your throne of grace today in awe of the works of your mighty hands. Our hearts are filled with gratitude for this wondrous opportunity that you have bestowed upon us. We understand that life is precious and we must do all that we can to enable your holy will to unfold in our lives. This, however, can be achieved when each of us has a vision or a purpose. We beseech you, dear God, to be with us during our session today. Bless our speaker, Father Royal Nazareth, with your divine prudence, that his words may touch and inspire everyone. May this time of mourning bear bountiful harvest in our lives. May we discover a deep sense of purpose that instills in us a yearning to do our best at all times. May we leave no stone unturned as we strive to bring honor and glory to your mighty name. Bless and protect all of us and our dear families, that we may never tire of doing good to all those whom you place in our life's journey. These graces we ask in your matchless name. Amen.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Jacqueline Gonzalez will now introduce our distinguished speaker for the day.
Good morning to one and all. A warm welcome to the Personality Development webinar. Today, I have the honor and the privilege of welcoming our guest speaker, who barely needs any introduction. He is often seen walking down the corridor towards the chapel at 11:50 a.m. to celebrate lunchtime mass with the Catholic staff and students of SJPHS. However, that was during the pre-pandemic school days. More recently, Father Royal Nazareth has been a guest speaker on our Peace and Harmony webinar, released earlier this year. He is a Holy Cross priest who is the director of the Holy Cross Family Ministries and Hope Counseling Center at Museum Road. He is also the director of the Students' Home. Father Royal holds an MA in English Literature and an MSc degree in Counseling Psychology. With years of experience in his chosen field, we could not have had a more erudite speaker to guide us in our vision and purpose. A hearty welcome, Father Royal. Over to you, Father.
Thank you, ma'am, for your introduction. And thank you for beautifully leading us into prayer with a very inspirational story. So, good morning, students. So wonderful. I'm very glad to be part of this interaction this morning and looking forward to spend these few moments with you this morning. So, the topic that we have chosen for this morning as part of our personality development is purpose or vision. Those two are very big words, isn't it? Purpose or vision. And what am I going to talk about these two words today, or these two elements of personality today? You know, I'm quite sure that you may have come across the Tales of Alice in the Wonderland, written by Lewis Carroll. You know, there is this one beautiful conversation happening in the Alice in Wonderland, in these adventure tales, wherein once Alice is coming to a point and meeting a Cheshire cat. And Alice is asking the cat, would you please tell me which way I ought to take from here? Would you please tell me which way I ought to take from here? To which the cat says, that depends on where you want to go. And Alice says, I really don't know. To which the cat says, in that case, it doesn't matter which way you go. So this tells us that if we do not know where we want to go, or if we do not have a direction, then very many opportunities or very many choices that are lying before us may not seem to be useful for us. So as very well it is being said, if we can also find out how to go about in where we want to reach. So these two are very big questions a person can ask. Why do I exist? Or what is the purpose of my life? What is the meaning of my life? Many philosophers, many sages, many seers ask these questions, but I think for us 9th and 10th graders, these are two big questions to reflect. Philosophical, and they are requiring a deeper reflection. Probably what would make more sense to us being 9th and 10th graders would be some football, some cricket, some badminton. Who cares about what is the purpose of life? Who cares what vision we are talking about, isn't it? But sometimes it is said that many of us might just live as accidentals, stumbling into a relationship, wandering into careers, searching for meaning, hoping and praying that we'll get lucky in love, find out our fortune, and stay healthy. Many of us, in some ways, live directionless, but that is not all. We also sometimes ask these questions as to what is the purpose of my life? Why am I here? Why do I exist? You know, the sages have asked these questions, and if we really want to look at this topic, the purpose or vision, this topic can be actually looked at from three angles or three perspectives. One is known as the humanistic perspective. A humanistic perspective is where it is being told to us that we have a tremendous potential within us, and our aim is to discover that potential, trying to be the better persons that we can be. And we have a number of people who have contributed to this perspective, like Abraham Maslow, Erik Erikson, a lot of psychologists, who tell us that we have a lot of potential. Or, for example, Irenaeus, who says the glory of God is we being fully alive. So it is a focus about developing our talents to the maximum or our potentials to the maximum. Then there is another school or another perspective that talks about, which can be known as more fundamentalist, that talks about uh, God's plan for our life, or God's purpose for our life, God's vision for our life. It is not so much of we, but it is more of the divine that is having a control over our life. So that is another perspective. Then there is a third perspective that is basically living not for oneself, but living for others in service. Like Jesus Christ, Mahatma Gandhi ji, Mother Teresa, Gautam Buddha, people of such caliber had this kind of perspective that their goal, a vision, a purpose in life was to live for others. Now, my point here is not to debate on which of the perspective is right or wrong, or which is of more important and which is the less important. And it is not my point here also to elaborate on these perspectives. I want to take you through a little different perspective. I have a goal here, something different. I'm not trying to dwell in building a larger purpose or vision for your life, but I am wanting to take you through discovering your own sense of drivenness. And when I say, what does that really mean to you, 9th and 10th standard students, to at least partially get starting to reflect on the purpose of your drivenness? Towards which side are you driven? Okay, to that, I thought I will engage you in a small activity in the first part, and following which I will just interact and reflect with you. Okay, I'd actually asked the teachers to tell you that to have a piece of paper. Hello, students, can someone respond?
Yes, Father, we got a paper.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So I will keep you engaged. I will keep you engaged for a while with a small activity. Take that piece of paper in front of you. I would like each of you to draw, not to write. Okay, in the center of the page or center of the paper, things that you love most in your life presently. When I say things, it can mean the persons, it can mean the places, it can mean certain objects, it can also mean certain qualities like love, friendship, family, whatever it is. You're not going to just write words for them, but you're going to draw certain symbols for them. Okay, you can also draw skeleton sketch symbols, like for person, you can draw a circle and then two sticks for symbolizing hands and legs. Okay, things like that. So I want you to draw symbols of things, persons, places, ideas that you love most in your present life. Today, as 9th and 10th graders, what do you love the most that you have in your life presently? So maybe a mobile, maybe your parents, maybe your friends, maybe your teachers, maybe the school, maybe the car, maybe whatever it is. So you just basically draw the symbols of the things that you have in your life in the center of the page, around which you draw a round circle, which means you're keeping them within the circle. Okay, don't use the entire paper. The center of the paper, draw symbols of things that you love the most in your life, which you have currently, which you are enjoying having them. Okay, as I said, it could be your parents, it could be your friends, it could be certain relationships, it could be friendship. So I'm talking about tangible as well as non-tangible things. Non-tangible things, you can give some symbol. For example, you have love in your life, you can draw a symbol of a small heart, for example. Or you have a mobile phone, maybe you can draw a mobile phone. Or you have money which you love having, maybe you can draw a small symbol of a note or a coin. Just symbolically small drawings in the circle. Okay, is that clear, boys?
Yes, Father.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm giving you 2 minutes to do this, and I will lead you forward after this. Okay, so 2 minutes for you to draw certain symbols of the things that you love in your life currently. All the things, try to fit in as many things that you love. and circle it in the center of the page. Keep it within the circle. Nobody else will take them away. They are the people, they are the things, or some things or objects that you love. And you want to keep them within a circle. You are fencing them. Aaron Philip. Yes, once you are done with that, I want you to go to the right top of the page, and draw persons, places, things, objects you want to attract into your life. The things or persons or places or things which you do not have right now, but you want them to have in your life. You want to attract them into your life. Draw the symbols and objects for those elements, around which you will draw a symbol of heart. Okay, on right top corner of your page. So these are the things that you want to attract into your life. So you're drawing a symbol of heart around it so that you can pump in your bloodline into those things. So because you want to attract them into your life. And those of you who have done that, come to the left down corner of your page, and draw symbolically the things and persons and elements you want to release from your life, let go from your life. And around those symbols, draw two wings so that let them fly away from your life. Elements in the sense the persons, the certain ideas, certain objects which you don't want to have, certain habits. Don't write the name of the habit, just draw symbolically. Imagine some kind of a symbol for your habit. You want to let go of your life. Certain behaviors, whatever. So center of the page, what you love the most presently, currently. Okay, it could be people, it could be things, it could be certain elements, certain qualities, certain habits, whatever. And on the right top corner, the elements that you want to attract into your life. And left down corner of the page, the elements you want to let go of your life, allowing them to fly away. So you're drawing two wings besides them. You just have to use skeleton sketchings and just symbols. Don't have to be a perfect artist. As long as you can figure it out what it is, that's enough. So basically put certain symbols, symbolic drawing of things which you love currently in your life, of things which you want to attract, which you desire to have in your life, and the things which you want to let go of your life. For things which you have, you're fencing it with a circle. For the things you want to attract, you're drawing a heart symbol around that. And for things you want to let go, you're giving them two wings to let them fly away. Now, what I want you to do is to name what each of those things signify to you. Pay attention. I'm not asking you to write the name of what you have drawn. For example, if you have drawn a computer, I don't want you to just write it's a computer. But what does the computer signify to you? What meaning does it has for you? For example, computer stands for me for knowledge, or computer stands for connectivity. Okay, like for example, if you have drawn a car, don't just write it's a car. Car stands for me for mobility. Or let's say if you have drawn a figure of father, your dad, or your mom, don't just write it's mom or dad, but write what does my dad stand for me? Protection, for example. What does my mom stand for me? Affection or love or care. You have drawn your friend. What does my friend stand for me? Support or whatever, friendship, care. So I want you to write for each of those, not what it is, but what it signifies to you. Especially in the center that you love and the center that you want to attract. You can also write to the down part where you have drawn the wings and want things to let go of your life. So what does that signify to you? Or basically, what value do you find in them? So it's a little thinking process. I know you can do it. All right. So you basically describe Don't go big sentences. Few words, one word or two words, just you describe. What does it signify? Whatever that you have drawn. If you are drawn a flower, what does that signify for me? It signifies for beauty or whatever. According to each person, same thing may be different signification. Somebody has drawn money. Money may be for somebody security. Maybe for some persons it is a basic necessity. Or some persons it could be power. Having more money indicates to more power. Whatever it signifies to you personally. I'm not asking objectively what it signifies to the world, but to you personally, the symbol that you have drawn, it could be a person or an object or a habit or an idea. What does that signify to you personally? If you have done this exercise,
Yes,
my last part of this activity, can you identify 3 important values that you recognized? Okay, 3 values. Values you know, right? Certain elements in them. For example, what is of topmost value for me? Is it a security? Is it love? Is it friendship? Whatever. What you felt as you were doing this exercise, these are my top 3 most priorities or significant aspects of my life or 3 values of my life. Just jot them down. The top 3 priority or top 3 values that I discovered about myself when I did this exercise, especially from the central circle wherein I drew symbols which I have presently in my life. Persons, places, objects, habits, and things that I want to attract into my life. So these are some things that I desire. So from this, these are the 3 topmost things that I recognized about myself or I became aware of myself. And once you are done, I'm giving you just a couple of minutes. Somebody wanted to share what you've written, you can share it so that it enriches other participants as well. No compulsion, but if someone wants to share what you've discovered right now, by doing this activity, you came to know that this is my value, or I cherish this value, this aspect of my life. Something that you want to share with others so that it can enrich. I'm giving you 30 seconds to figure out what you discovered or what awareness you got into while you did this exercise. After which, if any of you want to share that these are the top 3 things I recognize in myself, you are free to. Okay. Does anyone want to share? Somebody had chatted. Can I share what I've done? Would you like to? Arjun Sharma, would you like to?
Father, can you hear me?
Yes. Go on.
The values which I have, the values that I have discovered, the values that I have discovered in myself are I can be determined or like transfixed on that one point. Like
Okay.
if I'm transfixed on that one particular subject, I will do that.
Okay.
Uh,
So you are a focused person. Being focused, to say simply.
I am also a very silent observer also.
Okay.
So no one clearly knows me, but I know them very clearly.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Arjun. You can mute. Anybody else wants to quickly say what value you found out or significance about your life? All right. So maybe you can think about it. So the purpose of this activity is basically when we are talking about the purpose of one's life, we are driven subconsciously or unconsciously by the kind of values that we cherish. Okay, so if you are looking for the value of power, probably you want to have a vision or purpose which is geared toward that. If you're looking for security, if you're looking for care or affection, okay, so your life might automatically find a gearing towards that. Okay, so I'm not going to talk about the purpose per se in totality here. I will present the slides. Famous person, Socrates, he had this to say: I've noticed 3 kinds of people in this world. Those who make things happen, those who watch what happens, and those who wonder what happened. So we need to ask ourselves, where do we fit in? But maybe sometimes we make things happen, sometimes we sit back and watch what things happen, and sometimes wonder what has happened. So my topic I've tweaked a bit. Instead of talking about the purpose or vision per se, I want you to reflect with you, 9th and 10th grade students, a purpose for living. Okay, there is a little difference between talking about the purpose, the goal, the long-term goal, than living a day, every day with purposefulness, with meaningfulness. Towards that, I've prepared this slide. So we are not talking here about jobs or profession or a career goal. Okay, so we are talking about something different that life offers, not the profession, not the job, not the career achievement that we are sometimes tend to think about. What do you want to become? I want to become a doctor, I want to become a teacher, I want to become an engineer. All of that is fine. That is our career goal. As Shakespeare beautifully said, that all these professions can be like we taking on a costume or a character on the stage. But back of the stage, we are all human beings. So our jobs, our profession are something that we are destined to be part of in this universe. But behind that, we are all humans. And as humans, we hold certain purpose, certain vision, certain goal. So the point is basically, what is your launching pad? Or basically trying to see what kind of values propel you, what kind of values drive you, what is the launching pad that you take off in life, what motivates you, what gives you direction. Okay, so do you have that kind of a direction where you want to reach? Are you sure about where you want to go? Not in a long term way, but in an ordinary day to day context of life. So this is something that we did, an activity. So purposeful living, when we are talking about it, embraces two elements. One is the reason, the other one is faith. By reason, we put ourselves into certain targets or certain goals. And by faith or intuition, we begin to trust the process of our lives. So it is not just the outcome result or result orientation that should be the goal of our life, but the process itself, that our journey towards the goal is also as significant and as important. And that is why I think at this stage of life and with this given time, to think about the purpose and vision is a tall claim. And therefore, I am talking to you today with something that is short, very brief for this time and this stage of life. So there is this one beautiful book by Dan Millman on living on purpose, wherein he speaks that what really matters in life is meaning, purpose, direction, and connection. Meaning, purpose, direction, and connection. I'm not going into the dwelling into the details of that, but we can connect that if we find a meaning, if we have a purpose, if we find a direction, and if we find getting connected to people, relationship, with our own inner self, with the universe, with the divine, with the faith, with the reason, life becomes purposeful and goal oriented in the context of our daily life. So never mind what you like or dislike, just do what needs to be done. This may not be happiness, but this is greatness, told by George Bernard Shaw. So life's purpose can be partially detected in those things or ideas to which you feel very connected. For example, your values and your needs. The needs part, which I have not covered, and it's a big topic in itself. But one of the things that powerfully directs us, powerfully drives us, is the kind of values that we cherish, which are most often in our subconscious. So the exercise that we did was to bring the subconscious values into your conscious awareness so that you become more aware of what your values are and how they are actually can play a great part in determining your purpose of life. So I'm going to just talk to you or process with you these three keys for a purposeful living. One is the short-term goals. Two, don't give up attitude. And three, believe in yourself. Just these three elements that I thought maybe good to reflect with you as you are in grade 9 and 10, rather than just focusing ourselves on a long-term purpose and vision of life. So it is important for you as students to set certain short-term goals. Okay, certain short-term goals. So one of the ways to set short-term goals is known as a technique called SMART. SMART stands as an acronym for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. Now, for example, you are in class 9 and 10. What could be your specific goal that you can set it up? Maybe like you are getting 60% of marks. Probably you can be specific and say that, okay, I'm going to get 70% mark in the next 70% mark. Okay, so and what are the ways you are taking to make it measurable? What is the way? Define what evidence will prove you're making progress and re-evaluate whenever necessary. So basically, if you put a target to jump from 70 to 80 or from 80 to 85% of marks in the next exam, what are you going to do it? How can you measure your success towards that? Probably you're going to say, I'm going to spend 2 hours every day for studies, which is measurable. 2 hours time I'm spending on this particular subject. This particular subject is difficult for me, so I'm going to spend an extra half an hour on this particular subject every day. So that is measurable. And thirdly, you will also put attainable goals, not unattainable goals. Okay, somebody said your behaviors are not up to mark. You don't say, okay, I will be a good boy. That is very vague. That is very unclear. That is not attainable. But if you say specifically, I will change my particular behavior. For example, when the teacher says class, I will be the first one to keep quiet. I will shut my mouth, which is attainable, which is realistic. Okay. And the next aspect of this SMART is being relevant. Is this particular goal that I'm going to set, is it relevant to my life? Is it relevant in line with my values? Is it in relevance with what I want to become for a long term? Is it helping me towards that? And the other element is time based. By what time? Not, okay, whenever it is possible or when I grow old, it will happen. No, you set a time based goal. For example, every day when you get up, probably you can also set a specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time based goal for your life. Or you can also set it weekly based. You can also set it monthly based. You can also set it semester based. So this is one of the ways that you become smart. Becoming smart here, it doesn't mean in another sense here, it means that you are growing in setting specific targets, measurable goals, attainable goals, relevant goals, and time-based goals. So this will give you some purpose, some direction, some connection, some meaning into life. So this is one of the aspects. You know, I'm remembering one story. Story is basically a group of dogs were playing around in the ground. And suddenly one of the dogs saw one rabbit coming out of the jungle. So the dog barked and started the chase. It started chasing the rabbit. Seeing this particular dog running and barking, some of other dogs also started following it. And as they got into the jungle, the rabbit was running waywardly with whining ways and things like that. So the dogs were chasing one after another as a pack. Now, as they were going, there were some along the way, some old bones of some animals, some carcasses that were fallen. So some of the dogs started chewing these bones. And some of the dogs again continued the chase with the first dog. And after a while, they found some other meat pieces and bones lying along. So they also stopped. Eventually, what happens? Only the dog which saw the rabbit was only chasing the rabbit. Rest of the dogs which followed this dog, eventually on the way, they fell back. They settled for bones. So the point here in this story, that when you have a purpose, when you have a goal, you start chasing it. Don't try to follow and chase somebody else's goal, somebody else's dream. Then what happens? Maybe along the way, you will only settle for bones and not for the rabbit. Only the dog which saw the rabbit pursued till the end until it got its target, because it saw it. It's not many times it's the story of us also, that we want to copy somebody else's goals, somebody else's purpose, somebody else's directions, rather than finding our own. So one of the things that we did today was that to understand your strength or your passions or where your energies are, which are known to us by the values that we have, and also the needs, which we have not spoken so far in this session. The needs and the values are powerful levers which gear you towards what you want to achieve. So an understanding of what your values and needs are will help you to go a long way to where you want to go, the direction in which you want to proceed. Okay, so that is one of the things. So set small goals in your life, goals that are very specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. Never give up attitude. Never give up attitude is something that we need to cultivate. Now, if you saw this particular video, there was this little bird which found that the huge wave that was coming was so difficult to handle. But eventually it learns a way to find its own food. So when you are persistent, when you're trying to go about doing things repeatedly in spite of your failures, then there is a way forward. Like this person you see on your screen, Thomas Alva Edison, inventor of bulb, he has said many of life's failures are people who did not realize how close they were to success when they gave up. He's the person who says that just because you may have failed 10,000 times, he said it only meant that I have tried 10,000 times the way that it doesn't succeed. When he was preparing the bulb, so many thousand times he failed in his attempt. So he came up with this very inspirational quote saying that it doesn't mean that 10,000 times I failed. It means that 10,000 times I found the ways it doesn't work. So that way, having an optimistic attitude, never give up attitude, constantly trying, be it Cristiano Ronaldo, be it Virat Kohli, it is not that they just became success overnight. They had many failures. They had moments of disappointments, but they had an attitude in them to say never die. They constantly tried and they attained the goal that they wanted to attain. So that is something that you can inculcate into your personhood. And thirdly, I want to leave you with this slide. Sorry. So whether you think you can or you can't, you are right always. It depends on how much you believe in yourself. There's only one you, there's nobody else. So becoming the you that to the maximum is something that you can try. Letting your dreams fly is something that you can also inculcate into your life, not just living your mommy's dream or your dad's, not remaining forever as grandma's darling, but becoming a leader of your own dreams. Being hungry not for food alone, but passionate about what you want to achieve, the goals that you want to reach. Surrounding yourself with right kind of people who not discourage you, pull you down, but people who encourage you, people who support you, friends who stand by you, all of that. And taking time to be you. What does that mean? It means sometimes when others don't appreciate, you can be self-appreciative of yourself. I love myself. I'm happy the way I am, no matter what others say. And things like that. Learning to give back to the world. The universe gives us so much. Also having that attitude to give back to the universe, contributing to the universe, growing in that realm, and also not forgetting where you came from. Remembering your roots is also a sense of gratitude, which also keeps you humble. So these are the things that you can inculcate in your life as you are expanding your own understanding of the purpose and vision of your life. These are 7 quick tips which I want to leave you with. So yes, as I said, I didn't want to take you through a philosophical concept of a purpose or vision in life, but I wanted to take you through something that you can actually connect with in the present context of your 9th and 10th standard. That is basically understand what drives you, the kind of values that are so hidden in you, but when you do certain activities, some things can come to an awareness because they kind of propel you, they kind of drive you. Again, the three key elements that I left you with: one is set short-term goals, goals which you can attain. Secondly, never give up attitude. There will be so many noises and voices telling you you're not good enough, but have an attitude of trust within yourself, confidence within yourself, and do not give up. As the little boy who could climb to the success in spite of people probably having skepticism, not believing this boy would really make it, but at the end he could make it. So trust in yourself, believe in yourself, you will grow in the person that you are meant to be. So with this, I end this brief talk.
Thank you, Father, for giving us a different perspective on vision and purpose, and for showing us how we can apply it in our daily lives. This floor is now open for questions. Father Royal Nazareth consented to answer any questions you have. Father, we'll just move on to the Q&A session.
Yeah.
First question: what happens when we have a vision but things don't work out that way?
The thing is with vision is that we got to grow in understanding things which are in our control and things which are not in our control. Now, at times it can be possible that your institution has a vision and you might have a different vision, personal vision. So what happens if you, having a different vision, become part of an institution which has another vision? So there is a clash of values. So again, what choices do you have here? Do you really want to be part of this institute which has a different vision and your life which has a different vision? So certain choices that you have which are yours to make. And that, again, we can't expect of 9th and 10th graders to make it, because in life we pass through different phases. Like children are mostly guided by their parents. And the parental values, their vision, their purpose becomes children's vision and children's purpose. And then they come to another stage of adolescence or teenagers. That is when the children usually revolt against their parents or authority. They want to find their identity, they want to find their purpose, their vision. And it's only when they become adult that it gets consolidated with experience, it gets consolidated with their intellect and knowledge and many other relevant aspects. So contradiction in what sense needs to be assessed in that particular context that we are talking about.
Thank you, Father. Next one. Many times we are forced to study subjects we don't like. How do we try and make it purposeful?
This is something that beyond my answers, because it's something that system that's there for us as education system. So it's like you choose one particular subject, then there is a package along with that. But now I think with this introducing of the NEP, I think there are more opportunities which are actually student friendly. That is basically if you choose a particular stream like engineering, you can also do a subject in humanities. Of course, there are administrative difficulties as of now in the system, but I think that is something that is being forward looked into. It's a quite good vision of development, wherein probably the future students will have an option to choose the subjects they love. And not like if you've chosen something and then there is one subject called maths, which I don't like and I don't want to do that. But I think going forward, people in education field are thinking of such changes being brought about. So yes, the system is sometimes is a curse and it is also a blessing. So take for what it is.
Okay. Third question. Is it all right to have an aim of becoming rich as one's purpose?
Yes. Now becoming rich. Now, is that the end goal in itself? So that is something one needs to assess. If becoming rich by any means, what are the means are you employing? Becoming rich could be through proper means, or it could also be through improper means. So as I said, the process is as important as the end or the result. So what kind of means, what is the journey that you are undertaking to reach that goal? And what are you attaining by becoming just rich? What does that signify to you? So that is something needs to be assessed from the person's point of view, whether your journey towards that becoming rich or attaining that goal has given you that sense of satisfaction, that sense of purposefulness, or are you just like talking about the end result? It's like you want to go from Bangalore to Mysore. Your destination is Mysore, but how you travel to Mysore? Are you going by bus? Are you going by train? Are you going by your own vehicle? And how enjoyable is that journey? I think that gives relevance to one's life rather than just reaching Mysore alone.
Next question. Does vision change with time and one's age?
Yes. If you have known Priyanka Chopra, you know Priyanka Chopra, right? Well-known actress. Actually, Priyanka Chopra was dreaming about becoming aeronautic engineer. But she ended up becoming what? Becoming an actor, becoming an author, becoming a singer, things like that. So in the context of life, there are certain choices that we make constantly. And these choices determine the kind of destination that you will end up yourself being. And it is something to do with Priyanka Chopra as well. And that resilience to change our goals is something that I think all of us need to have. That as you go along, the choices that you make in your life also will have certain consequences and will lead you to be someone that is the result of your choices. So yes, it's okay to change your goal. It's okay to find a destination, provided it is in line with your sense of satisfaction. You acknowledge it, you own it up, and not fight with yourself.
The last question. We are told to surrender to God's plan. Does that clash with having a vision or a purpose?
Yes, as I said in the beginning, like we can see purpose from different angles, different perspectives. If you're seeing it from a very fundamentalist perspective, then as I said that we talk about more of surrendering to God's purpose in our life. If you're talking from humanistic perspective, you're talking more about your own discovering of your own self potentials. And if you're talking from the altruistic point of view, then you're talking about more in being available to the needs of the other. So I'm not here to make a value judgment on any of this. So it's something that it depends on the kind of person that you are resonating with, the kind of experiences, the kind of values you resonate with, because there are so many doors which give us a lot of choices, like the door of religion, the door of society, the door of family, the door of culture, the door of your ethnicity. Each one will try to bombard you with some kind of doctrination, certain kind of principles, certain values that come from out. So as a person, as you grow, you need to process these elements that are coming into your life and make the best choice that you can make.
Thank you, Father. This session was definitely an eye-opener for all of us. This brings us to the end of our webinar. I request Ms. Bernadette Roach to give the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Priyanka Ruth. Appreciation is truly a wonderful sentiment. I would like to begin by thanking God Almighty for His countless blessings and constant protection. I take this opportunity to express gratitude to all those who have contributed to this enriching webinar. We are indeed indebted to our guest speaker, Father Royal Nazareth, for making the time to be with us today. I am sure that all the insights you have given us will help us not only to become better versions of ourselves, but also go on to be the blessing to those around us. Grateful thanks to our beloved principal, Father Sunil Fernandez SJ, for continuously guiding and motivating us to give our best at all times. A big thank you to Primary School Administrator, Father Vishal D'Souza SJ, and Vice Principal, Mr. Uday Kumar, for their constant support in all our endeavors. Grateful thanks to the coordinator and assistant coordinator of grades 9 and 10, Mr. Deepak Xavier and Miss Bindu Thomas, for their unstinting support. Their wholehearted involvement in every school activity makes it possible to conduct such events. The contribution of the organizing committee, dedicated teachers, and our IT support team for their continuous assistance deserves a special mention. Last but not the least, my heartfelt thanks to the ever supportive parents and enthusiastic students for attending today's webinar. Thank you, one and all.